Hello. So, this is actually going to be a drive to rehearsal review, because for the very first time in a year of going to the movies and doing this, I forgot to bring my computer along. So, I actually had to run home in between that and rehearsal, so I came home, grabbed it, and I'm heading out to Somerville right now. So this is one that a lot of people have been kind of holding their breath on for a while. This is one that, just by which superhero it is and which company it's representing, a lot was riding on this one. Take into account this is the first of the two major film brands for superheroes, DC and Marvel. This is the first female-led superhero movie with a female director, which is awesome. It's the first ever big screen Wonder Woman. Pardon me for a minute. There we go. Bing! Sorry about that. So this is the first ever big screen Wonder Woman. So that's important. And it's kind of, even though they've got Justice League getting ready to come out in November, I kind of feel, and I think they felt it too, that this is kind of the last dying breath for the DC cinematic universe. Even though they've got all these other movies slated, they've got Justice League, they've got Flash, they've got Cyborg. I think they're planning a standalone Ben Affleck Batman film. So even though they've got all these other films ready to go, truth be told, and I'm one of them, I'm sure it's no secret to anybody, especially the people producing these things, that the DC cinematic universe has not been going well. It has not been, the films have been shit. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They've been absolute crap. And I think, I believe DC is probably feeling the pressure. They're trying not to, but they're feeling it. So a lot's riding on this movie. And I want to say first, before I get into too much, I want to say first that this is by far the best DC superhero movie that they have done since Dark Knight, and definitely the winner of the best of their expanded universe films. And unlike when I said that for Suicide Squad, this time I don't mean it as kind of a backhanded comment. Some effort went into this film, and so it felt like they really tried to make some changes and do some things differently to combat some of the issues that had been plaguing them for a while. So I want to say that right off the bat. This is by far the best of them. I think this one has, I don't want to say a lighter tone, but this one doesn't seem to be so far up its own nose with its brooding. Diana is not a brooding character, and she doesn't brood. There's no brooding in this movie. This is a person who you feel she's doing the right thing. She's doing it because she wants to do it. She's not battling with these existential dilemmas of, am I doing any good? I have to go around saving people and looking all sad and depressed so people can see the weight of the world on my shoulders. There's none of that bull. She's doing it because she's the best one to do it. She feels like it's her duty. She's proud to do her duty. It's not there's just not any whining in this film, or brooding. And that is so, you can feel like the weight of that lifted off of the film and the characters, that they were a little free. They were free to have some fun. They attempted some comedy. in here. Yeah, it's not something where people are throwing pies at each other, but they attempted to have some lighter characters and some lighter lines to show that not everything is doom and gloom and we're all gonna die. So I appreciate that from them. Another thing, and I hate saying this as a compliment because you would think this would be a common sense kind of thing, but you gotta give it credit for where its older brother films have failed so miserably. This film is coherent. There's a logical progression from both the story point of view and the character's point of view. The story moves logically, and the characters make choices and do things that are foreshadowed, and you can see that character making that decision. This one does not feel like it was the victim of a lot of last-minute editing and chopping and whatnot, like Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad felt like. It felt like they really put everything they filmed, or most everything they filmed, up on screen, and didn't feel like there's no gaping holes in the plot or the character motivations. So that's good. Again, I will say that the young lady playing Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, I think I'm mispronouncing her name, and I sincerely apologize, does a nice job with, as I said before, making Diana a much more relatable character than the DC universe has had up to this point. She reacts to things in a natural and understandable way. She does some great acting with her face, especially in the scene where she comes off of Themyscira and into, quote unquote modern day, World War I, London, and she's seeing a lot of things for the first time, the things that she sees and just is like, wait, what? And then things that she's just kind of amazed at. It kind of reminded me in the best possible way of kind of those scenes in The Little Mermaid where Ariel is first on land and she thinks the fork is a comb and she's discovering things and she's like a little kid, and she does a very good job of selling that on a lot of it with facial expression, and that's hard to do. So I appreciate that. So there are a lot of good things about this movie, and it's one of those movies where if you went and saw it and you really, really, really loved it, I can totally see how that happened. I can see how people could go, especially if you're a big fan of this character, like so many people are, or especially if you're a little girl. This is kind of the hero in the film and the character that they've been needing for a long time. I feel like this film is kind of the antithesis of kind of things we've been building to, not so much in the DC cinematic universe, but in things like Hunger Games, Frozen, Moana, these much more well-defined female characters and female protagonists that we've been seeing kind of crop up over the last couple of years, and I feel like this is the kind of the high water mark for them. This is kind of what it's been building to, is finally this superhero movie headed by a woman, and it's definitely, I think that's another thing you got to say, but I think that it's unfortunately this is not much of a compliment. It's definitely by far the best superhero movie headed by a woman. But again, the competition for that is, it's pretty sparse. So if you went and saw this, especially, I think there were a lot of little girls in the audience, and I think that is fantastic. I really do. I can totally see how this thing is now their favorite thing ever. I get it. I truly do. And I want to say that, I want to say all that up front, because now I have to say it didn't quite do it for me. I didn't hate it. It's not. I've seen way worse movies. But I think if someone asked me straight up, Did you like it? I think I kind of have to say no, I didn't. And I say that feeling bad about it for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that I wanted to like this movie. You know, as opposed as I am to kind of the DC cinematic universe, because it is just, you know, a poor imitation of the Marvel one. I wanted to like this movie. The trailers looked good, and I wanted to see the female superhero movie succeed, which it is. You know, the early box office indication, it's succeeding. But there are flaws in it that hit me. I don't know if they hit anybody else. I don't think anybody else really cares. But there are things in it that I just can't get past. So I wanted to kind of get it out of the way first to say I get how people could like this movie. This isn't like the other ones where I've walked out of them going, I don't see how anybody could possibly enjoy that film. So right off the bat, I gotta tell you, this is some bad acting. There are some bad actors in this. Not awful, but certainly not good. I don't know who told Chris Pine he was an actor, but whoever did it lied. And I say that, you know, I said that to Elizabeth. I went and saw the movie with her, and I said that to her, and she said, "Well, he's not an actor, but he has really pretty blue eyes." You know, and you know that is true. He's a very attractive young man. I must give him credit, but an actor? Nope. Movie Bob said this in one of his reviews of the Star Trek films, that there is no name more suited to an actor than Pine. He is wooden as all hell. And he's trying, but it's not working for him. He's not leading man material, but they keep casting him as leading man material. He's not good, and he's not good in this. And I gotta say that Gal Gadot, and again mispronouncing her name, and I apologize, who, you know, I'm sure is a lovely human being. She is just a charisma vacuum. I don't see any charisma from her. Now, I'm going to be fair here. And I want to phrase this right, because I don't want to sound like a male chauvinist pig. But to her credit, as I said when we were discussing kind of the earlier part there, she does a lot. Whenever she's not talking, God, that sounds terrible. But whenever she's not delivering lines, her acting is very good. You know, like I say, a lot of stuff in the facial expression, the way she reacts to things, is very natural and very good. And I'm sorry if this sounds sexist, but she looks like Wonder Woman. She looks exactly like you would think Wonder Woman would look. The only person who looks more like Wonder Woman than she does is Linda Carter. You know, so she's got a good look, but as they would say in the wrestling world, she's got a good look. She doesn't have the mic skills. And again, what's harder, and the reason why I hate saying that, is because you can definitely see she's trying. This isn't like Suicide Squad, where you had Margaret Robbie, who, in my opinion, is a bad actor, and the only character they give her on top of her being a bad actor, but the only character you're given is fan service, stick your ass out. You know, here they've given her a character to work with. They've given her a character who is fairly well developed. And she just, it's so flat. It's so flat. It's really hard to watch, honestly. And so you have two bad things, and they go worse together. These two have no chemistry. No chemistry whatsoever. It is painful to watch them together, and there's so many scenes where they are together, and it is it makes every scene they're in drag, and you're just like, can we just get past this, please? Can we just get past it? Here's a problem I see with the DC Cinematic Universe that I don't think was really relevant until this moment. And I've made a promise to myself. I'm only going to use one example of well, in the Marvel films, because I don't want to be just comparing them to the Marvel films. That's not fair. So I'm going to save that for later. So I'm going to compare this to other science fiction, fantasy-esque films. And one of the things that has been being done in those type movies is that you get, especially ones where you have younger, kind of up-and-coming talent, one of the things you do is you cast really, really, really reputable, big-name actors in kind of the supporting roles to give gravity to the world, make it feel grounded, because those great actors, especially great British actors, can, really help ground the world, and to help boost the performance of the younger actors, give them, and think of it this way. Again, I'm not going to use the Marvel films as an example. Think of Lord of the Rings. That was Orlando Bloom's first film. Viggo Mortensen was not a big name. He's not a big name now either. But so you had, the two other guys who played the Hobbits. Not so much. So what do? They're kind of the leads. So what do? You surround them with venerable actors: Ian McKellen, John Rhys-Davies, Sean Bean, Sean Astin, Elijah Wood. You get better actors, character actors around them to help boost that film. Hell, that's the entire casting philosophy behind the Harry Potter movies. You have a film that's made up entirely of children. Your main actors are children, so make sure you get some of the best damn actors in the world around them to make this feel not like a kiddie picture, and to give the kids, whether they know it or not, some kind of boost. That's why you had, Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith, Warwick Davis, Robbie Cole, Carl, Hagrid. I'm sorry, I could not remember. I can't remember the actor's last name right now. It'll come to me later. To help them out. These films don't have that. The only one they've had is Jeremy Irons in Batman v Superman, and it didn't work. You could argue they had Ben Affleck too, but let's not get into that argument. And I think this film needed that. It needed those more venerable actors to raise it up. It didn't have it. The acting in this is flat. It's very flat and very dull. Which kind of leads me to talk a little bit about the special effects and the directing. Now, before I say this, again, let me give it a praise. There is a sequence in this movie, like 10-minute sequence or something, that is just awesome. Nothing I can complain about. And that's the first time you see in the trailers that she kind of dons the costume and she steps out of the trench into no man's land and just charges. And it's her first time going full-on Wonder Woman. And that scene is almost completely flawless. It's a freaking awesome scene. And loved it. Loved that scene. But, that being said, now here's where I'm going to use my in the Marvel movies card. In regards to the special effects, the thing I've seen with the DC Cinematic Universe is that their color palette and their special effects are all very flat and very kind of lifeless. They're dull to look at, and they're very, very obviously special effects shots. Now, I'm sorry, but I couldn't think of another film to make these comparisons to. In the Marvel films, the special effects are much brighter. They're much more varied. They pop off the screen. They're alive. They're action-filled. The camera's moving a lot. To kind of feel like you're on a roller coaster almost. seems like the Marvel films pride themselves on trying to find new things to do with the special effects in each one, so it's not just the same film each time. And the DC universe hasn't learned that lesson yet. The film is very dull looking, and the special effects are even more so. Movie Bob, in his review of Batman v Superman, said that they just look like screensavers, look like wallpaper on a computer. And that is what they look like. They're very flat, and there's not a lot of life to them, and I really hate that. I think the director did a pretty good job, but there is one thing I had that just bugged the frick out of me. And that is, in these big fight scenes and in these special effects shots, she loved this shot, or this special effects trick, of an Amazon or Wonder Woman or something jumping up in the air, going into slow motion as you see them turn, seeing their face, and then punching the bad guy. They did this so many times that it lost all meaning. Because to me, if I'm going to use that shot, I want to save that for like one of the coolest shots, or one of the first times the character really lets loose, so you can kind of get the, how fast they're moving, how good they are. I don't want to use it all the time. I want to use it once, maybe twice. Here, it was just over and over and over. What it reminded me of is I just recently bought a PlayStation 4, and I got a wrestling game for it. And the controls for the wrestling game are not very good. I'm turning into a video game critic. They're not smooth. They're not, natural, whatever. So I'm still trying to learn the controls. So what tends to happen is I usually can only do one or two moves. Like when I'm playing as Sting, it seems like all I can make him do is suplex people. Anything else I do is kind of on accident. And of course, because it's a WWE game and they have obnoxious announcers, they've got their obnoxious announcers commenting on the fact that I'm only doing one move. Oh, he's doing that move again. Well, he must like that move to do it so many times. Oh, I just love watching the same move over and over and over again. And that's what this reminded me of. Like, she was just using the same trick so many times, and it lost any meaning that it could have had. I don't feel like she planned out these, with the exception of that sequence I just talked about. I don't feel like she planned out a lot of these action sequences to do anything new. She was like, okay, just do that trick again, just do that trick again, just do that trick again. It's like, do something else, show us something else, and didn't. Only other thing I can say, I mentioned earlier, they at least tried to have some moments of levity. Problem is, none of it worked. Because of the stiffness of the actors, none of the kind of basic sarcasm jokes landed. One did. There was only one time I laughed in this movie. And they had a comic relief character that, oh my God, I wanted her dead. Every time she came on screen, it was like, oh, not her. Oh, no, please don't subject me to this. So yeah. One last thing I got to say in this film's favor, and I mentioned this, I think, a little bit when I talked about Denial, the film I watched last year. There's something I really liked about this movie. They had the same thing in the reboot of Ghostbusters too, actually. As I've said, one of the things that has made headlines about this movie is that it is the first in this modern generation of films. It's the first female-led superhero film, also with a female director, so that's two big things. And not only that, but it's a period piece. And what I was dreading, because I hate this, is I was dreading that once Diana came into, again, then modern day, quote unquote, society, that the film was going to become a lot of evil male chauvinist pigs, trying to keep her down. She was going to show them that a woman is strong and a woman is this and a woman is that, and I'll show you evil men. And they didn't do that. They showed remarkable restraint. And what the conflict became was not a man versus woman problem. It was a clashing of society and culture. That Diana's confusion and her, where she didn't fit in so much, is that there was a way things were done on Themyscira, where she's from, and there was a way things were done in, the real world. And her frustration and her confusion came more from her culture shock. And they didn't make it a big point that, we shouldn't listen to this woman. She's a woman. They did it a little bit, the amount you would need to do for that time period, but it wasn't like a thing. And I think, for me at least, and again, I'm not a little girl. I'm not a young woman. I'm not any kind of woman. So I can't speak for them. But for me, and I'm sorry to say this because I'm not allowed to say this, but I kind of get tired of being the evil villain in everybody's movie, And I think your point about how strong a character she was, how powerful of a person she was, is made stronger when it's not so in your face, not so much on a soapbox. You let it play out naturally, and I think they did that, and I think their message got across so much stronger. So I must give them big ups for that. I think that was, again, into the writing and all that. So here's the thing, to kind of close this one out. Again, I don't know if this is ever one I really want to see again, because again, it has that DCU problem of just being so dry and colorless, and again, I always use the analogy of gum that you chewed and the flavor has gone away. But I definitely can see, if you go and see this, let me rephrase. Unlike a lot of the other ones I see, I don't feel like this is one I can look at the camera and say, go see this please, or avoid it at all costs. All movies are like this, honestly, but I think this one definitely is one I think you, the viewer, need to see it, make up your own mind. If you like it and it connects with you, I can see why it would. For me, there's good intention, and there's a good fresh start in there. I kind of wish that this was the first of the DC cinematic universe. This should have been what they led with, and I think it would have gotten people a lot more excited, and maybe would have given them a better mold to follow. But I can't say that I personally liked it, and I can't say that, unlike a lot of other people apparently, or that I walked out of it just going, that was awesome. To me, it wasn't, and I wish it was. I sincerely do. I wish that I felt differently, but unfortunately, I feel the way I feel. It is what it is, and so the best thing I can say to you, even though I think most people knew if they were going to see this movie or not, is check it out for yourself. Make your own decision. If you can overlook the stuff that I just can't, and you can really enjoy it, then more power to you. If you can't, if you're like me and those things just are a wall you can't get over, then that's fine too. So either way. So thanks for joining me. I've got a longer drive. I can't talk the entire time. I got to drive to Somerville. Thanks for watching. We'll be back. I don't know with what movie next, but we'll think of something. So until then, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.